Alright, we have started recording and start streaming, so whenever you guys are ready.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. We've got the Fargo Special Assessment Committee meeting, Tuesday, June 24th. Let's see, roll call we'll start with. Let's see, who do we got? All right, so we got this in-person and Teams meeting.
Yep.
And let's see, we got Elliot, we got Jim, and then you want to go through the rest?
It should just be you three,
Okay.
that you have to roll call.
Sounds good. So we got over here. Let's see, regular agenda. It looks like we've got, how many items here?
10.
Okay, we've got 7 agenda items. Anything to add to the agenda? Okay, we can start with improvement district 1353.
All right. Greetings. Thank you for your time this evening, Special Assessment Commission. The purpose of our meeting tonight is twofold. One is to inform you of some pre-construction districts. These are projects that we're currently undergoing or are intending to go through that we intend to special assess. No action is needed on any of these that I'm going to be presenting tonight. Just for the record, my name is Dan Hansen, Senior Director of Community and Development Services. And with us is Jerry Wallace, the city engineer, and he'll be taking us through the current assessment districts that are intended to be certified this fall. If I could just start off with a couple housekeeping items. Just for the public that may be watching this, is that there are a couple of other meetings that are going to be taking place. Today, there's no action being taken on these pre-construction districts, and then we're looking for advice from the Special Assessment Commission on the ones that have the current assessment districts to get your take on the way that we're proposing to assess those districts. But there will be a Special Assessment Commission meeting that right now is scheduled for July 29th, 2025 at 5:30 at West Fargo City Hall here. And at that meeting, property owners who feel that there are errors may object to pending assessments at that public hearing. Property owners may object to their allocation, but the commission will not hear objections to the project itself at that meeting or the use of special assessments to fund the project. Those things were taken care of with due process earlier in the project. And then after hearing objections, the Special Assessment Commission will be able to finalize the list of special assessments and send that list on to the West Fargo City Commission meeting. The City Commission meeting that we're intending to bring those forward at this time is the September 15th, 2025 regularly scheduled meeting. And it's at that meeting that property owners must file a written notice of appeal before appealing at that public hearing. A letter or an email must be sent to the city auditor, including the name of all the property owners, address reference to the improvement district, and the city commission does have the final approval, and they're the ones that do eventually certify the special assessments that we eventually turn over to the county to go on the tax rolls. So again, excuse me. Legal notice for these public meetings will be published in the forum, and so they will be published, but just wanted to make that clear that those are the next several meetings in this process. With regards to district number 1353, this is the Dakota Medical Foundation development. Basically, the city was petitioned by the Dakota Medical Foundation to make improvements, including the construction of utilities and roads for their property that's located just west of Costco. I can scroll down maybe if I can. It doesn't like to scroll for me here. Let me try this part. All right, we're getting there. There we go. So you can see where Duluth Trading Company is in the northeast corner of this exhibit, and then Costco is located just to the east of it. It's just on the north side of 23rd Avenue East. This was a project that was this was petitioned by 100% of the property owners, and it is intended to be assessed with 100% of the cost of this project will be assessed to those properties for these improvements. And there's some benefit methodology that we have in the packet, pretty standard for what we're doing. I don't know if you want me to go through all the benefit methodology for each item, or if you'd like to just ask questions if you have any on that benefit methodology. But overall, it's a $2,550,000 is what is the project cost summary that we've bid this out. Right now, we're working on contracts with the contractor, and the project has been awarded. So this project is slated to get under construction this year and be completed by the fall of this year. So with that, I would entertain any questions regarding this one.
Other commission members, do you have a preference on the
Parcel, how many, there's 3 parcels in this assessment district?
No, there's more than 3. There is in the packet, there's a list of specials. It doesn't like scrolling very much. I'm just trying to get down to the one that shows the estimated special assessments. You can see the parcels that are to be special assessed listed on that sheet right there. So I believe there's 6 parcels.
All owned by Dakota Medical.
Yep.
Okay.
All of them 100% owned by Dakota Medical.
Okay.
They've actually got contracts underway with building office space on the north 2 lots
Okay.
in that with a building permit. So they plan on building those buildings in conjunction with us building the improvements. And I believe they've worked out with Dakota, or the Duluth Trading Company, to be able to access their site without having to go through our project, so. And again, no formal action is needed for this. This is more just informative, so unless you have any other questions, I can move on to the next.
Yeah, I think we move on to 2265, thank you.
All right. All right, so 2265, this is our 9th Street Northeast and 7th Avenue Northeast reconstruction. This project is under design and is intended to be bid this fall in October. This would be constructed in 2026. It's a fairly extensive project. We're going to be reconstructing 9th Street Northeast from Main Avenue all the way north to 12th Avenue, including improvements to the roundabout that is on 12th Avenue and 9th Street Northeast intersection to widen that out. And then in addition to that, we will be reconstructing 7th Avenue Northeast from 9th Street all the way into the city of Fargo, about 1,300 feet into Fargo. What I would say is that all of the costs of any improvement that's being done within the city of Fargo is going to be paid by Fargo. We have a memorandum of understanding with their city that they will take care of any costs that are incurred to build their portion of the project. So with regards to our project, we were very successful in receiving grant funding for this. We applied for a number of different grants, and we did receive $9.6 million of federal funding through the DOT, their local government program, through MetroCog, so that's good. Then we applied for a Flex Fund grant that we were successful in obtaining another $8.8 million. So by the time that you get done with the actual construction costs of the city of West Fargo's portions of 9th and 7th, those grants are basically going to almost cover the construction costs outside of some of the utilities, because those grant programs don't pay for sanitary sewer or water main, but they do pay for roads, multi-use bike paths, and storm sewer and things like that. So basically, by the time that we get done with it, for the most part, the majority of the local amounts that would be paid for by the city would be the soft costs, including engineering, right-of-way acquisition, and things like that. The city does have a policy where we are assessing the rest of it out, and there would be 70 with the regional arterial roadways. There's a 70% assessment, so the city will be picking up 30% of those remainder costs and assessing 70% of those remainder costs. Now, out of that, anything that those grants can cover just pays everything down, and there are some assessment there is one assessment district for the improvement district, 2265, and within it, there are two sub-areas that I would like to call them. One is the sub-area for 9th Street Northeast, and the other one is for 7th Avenue. So basically, 9th Street Northeast, extending all the way from Main to 12th, the intent would be to assess east and west from that roadway. But 7th Avenue only being constructed from 9th to the east, we would assess north and south of that roadway, but people on the west, properties on the west side of 9th Street would not be included in the assessments for any improvements on 7th Avenue. They were already assessed when we improved 7th Avenue west of 9th Street, so we wanted to remain fair with that. And then, so I'll just go to the, let me go to the exhibit. All right. No, there should be actually a map exhibit that's in there. Maybe I went past it. There we go. So you can see the dashed line is the overall assessment district. That includes both the areas that would be assessed for both 9th Street Northeast and 7th Avenue Northeast. And the cyan line or box east of 9th, that would be the properties that would be assessed for 7th Avenue, and basically the whole area that is in the dashed line would be contained within the 9th Street Northeast project assessment district. Now, the way that the assessments have been established is that we do have basically, if you're abutting the roadway or within, like 9th Street, for example, if you're just abutting that, if you're abutting that roadway, you're gonna get more benefit than if you're off the roadway. So there was, for the properties, for example, on the very west side of the improvement district, you can see they're off of, let's see, 6th, I believe that's 6th, I can't see it very well, but the north-south road on the very west side, those properties have basically a 0.5 EU, so they're only getting assessed at a 50% rate as opposed to properties that are closer to 9th, because they do have some other opportunities to be able to funnel in and out of there without having to use 9th. But there's recognition that these major arterial collector roadways do provide regional traffic and benefit and the ability to access their sites, so that's why they are included in this district. The intent would be that we would eventually have a 25-year assessment period for this improvement, which all of the construction that we're doing is it should last over 25 years. So we're not assessing less than the expected life cycle of the roadway and the improvements. And with that in the packet also is there's some cost summaries in there. You can see this is a very expensive project, but again, we're pretty happy to say that there are a lot of grant funding that we were able to throw at that. So again, this is just for informational purposes, but I would answer any questions that you might have.
What's the main reason for the large amount of grant funding just for this project?
I'm sorry?
What's the main reason for the grant funding for?
Why were we chosen to get
Yeah,
that?
just-
So through MetroCog, MetroCog basically gets together and all the entities that they service that are available to receive these grants, we all basically submit projects to them for funding. And at the MetroCog, there is a TTC committee that basically chooses which projects are going to receive funding. And this project was chosen by that entity as receiving the $9.6 million of STBG grant funds. And then the flex funding, that was a new funding, grant funding opportunity that came out through the DOT. And basically the way that it was presented when it came out was it was money that the state would put in to be able to be applied for local government units to pay their portion of federally funded projects. So originally, we had, say roughly $10 million worth of local costs. That $10 million would have been paid, say, $3 million by the city, and we would have assessed $7 million. by getting that extra 8.8 million. And there was over 200 projects that were submitted, and I can't tell you how many were actually chosen, but it was a far cry away from 200. So it was a pretty competitive grant, and we were ecstatic when we received notice that we did get it. So that really saved a lot of these properties a heck of a lot on what their special assessments could have been compared to what they're being proposed to be now. And there's a multitude of, properties out there, obviously a pretty extensive assessment list. We have not actually formally created the district yet for this. Houston Engineering is our consultant. They're finalizing the feasibility study, which would create the engineer's report. And then we would pass a resolution of necessity, and that's the point where we're going to mail out notice to all of these properties. So these properties have not been sent notice to this yet. We still are intending to create this district, but we would intend to do that in fairly short order here. And then we would have a hearing of protest after that, where they'd have a chance to contest the creation of that district, and then move forward from that. So for them to protest the use of special assessments for this project, over 50% of all the area that was in the improvement district would have to contest the creation of that district. So we anticipate, especially with the ability to buy this down quite a bit, that we're hoping that there isn't a heck of a lot of opposition, because that roadway is pretty shot and in very much need of repair. So it's going to turn out to be a 3-lane concrete roadway with the center shared turn lane, urbanized, curb and gutter, storm sewer, with a multi-use bike trail. That's going to run the entire length north to south, and then also the bike trail will extend all the way from 9th all the way east into and connect to the bike trail over on 45th Street in Fargo. So provides great connectivity for pedestrian traffic, because we do have the Goldenwood neighborhood very far to the north that use this corridor, and it is just a very deteriorated roadway, not very well lit, and is not pedestrian friendly. And so this is really going to be able to make it amazing. And then you've heard of the bridge that we're going to be installing over the Burlington Northern Railroad. We did receive a $23.8 million grant for that. That's estimated to be over about a $30 million bridge for construction costs for that. None of that is intended to be assessed at this time. That is, we're likely just going to take out a loan or a bond for that, and then that would be covered by the city. So when we are talking about our assessment districts and the reconstruction of 9th, there's going to be about an 1,100-foot gap that's not included in this reconstruction, because that's where we're going to build the bridge. Okay. So, and then any of because the grant funding can only be applied towards certain things such as roadways and bike trails and storm sewer, we're estimating that there's going to be more grant funding than West Fargo needs with it. So any additional grant funding we have on the project, we're going to apply towards the Fargo portion of it, because before we would give it back, we want to help pay their portion of the project done first. But we're obviously going to use those grants to pay our project down in West Fargo as much as we can, because there are grants. And then anything that we have additional, we're able to help pay their portion of the project down as well. So.
Just one question about that. Mm-hmm. North of Hazers, is that still some residential lots out there? There was some people living out there. Are they still out there?
I am not familiar with anybody actually living out there. I know there's like 2 houses out there, isn't there, Jerry? But are people actually living in them?
I think there's one that's definitely being occupied.
Yeah, there was just a few out there.
Yeah, but they're unplatted right now.
Okay.
I don't believe. I think they were originally sold through meets and bounds and things like that. So, and then there's the big Fargo property on the north side. Obviously, that's part of this. They're aware of what we're doing, obviously, and they're in the process of actually selling that property. They've got it marketed, and I believe they have a number of different offers on it, and they're in the process of selecting who to sell that to. So that's intended to be subdivided and used and developed at some point in time in the near future.
Right, any other questions?
Okay. Again, informational purposes only, but happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, I think we're ready to move on to 2290, please.
Yep. 2290 is the 2025 Public Works Mill and Overlay Project. In recent years, we had proposed doing the standard hire a consultant, do the design, bid out a project to be milled and overlaid by a contractor, total all those assessments up and assess those projects. We had about an $8.5 million project that we were going to do a number of neighborhoods and do those mill and overlays in. And it eventually got to the commission. The commission chose not to move forward with that district and those projects. And they said, what we need to do is we need to figure out a way to make the assessments cheaper. So basically what we've done is we have paving equipment now. We've got our Public Works Department is able to do this paving work. So this project is actually under construction right now. The portions that we did bid out is their Border States Paving was the low bidder on the contract. They were awarded the contract. And what they're responsible for is providing asphalt to the project. So that's where we're purchasing the asphalt from. Industrial Builders, I believe, is one of their subconsultants that's going to be doing the milling operations because we don't own a milling machine as well. And then there's also All Finished Concrete is another subconsultant of them that's going to do some minor curb work that's underway right now. So you can see the areas in yellow on the screen. That is the location of where this project will happen, and they're, again, under construction. And the way that we have it set up is that we're not charging for, we're not assessing the costs of us owning the paving equipment, the trucking, the equipment and the labor that we put into it. That is part of what the city is doing to supplement this project to buy down the costs. So the portions that are intended to be assessed is 50% of the costs of the project. So when we have to write a check to Border States for them and their subs to do their work, 50% of that cost would be assessed. And then also there is, I believe, a 10% engineering fee, 4% admin fee, and then a bonding fee that we typically would put on assessed projects. So there are some soft costs that are getting assessed to this, but in the end, a single-family residential home, in the end, we're projecting that the estimated assessment for a single-family residential home would be about $1,400 with this, and it would be assessed out over 25 years. In general, the neighborhoods have been very happy with the project and anxious for it to happen because, again, these roads are fairly deteriorated as well. So, again, no formal action, and this project is under construction right now, but the intent would be to come back next year and special assess this project according to that formula. We do have some methodology where multifamily homes are not being charged at a 1 EU. There's an assessment methodology sheet. Emily, if you could scroll to that. And I would just point out, further down, I'm sorry. There we go. You can see single-family home is 1 equivalent unit. Twin homes are 0.6, condos and townhomes 0.3. Small, medium, large, and extra-large apartments are different amounts of EUs from that. And then also the school property is basically based on the equivalent of 75 lineal feet of front footage lots for that, because they own a huge parcel out there, and we didn't feel it fair to assess them at an equivalent unit for the amount of area that they have, if they can just pay for what the cost is for the street in front of them. That's a very fair way to assess the school. So not everybody's going to get $1,400, just the single family would do that. Apartment buildings, obviously, more because they're providing more people using the roadways and everything. So, and with that, we're also doing the ADA ramps. The ADA ramps that we're doing, the pedestrian ramps, that's actually being taken care of on our concrete pavement repair project, separate from this one, and we are not assessing for that as well. So that's another way that the city has been able to buy down the cost of the project, leading to the assessments that are, in my opinion, very, very reasonable for what the product is going to be for these people. But with that, I would answer any further questions you'd have. Nope. All right. Moving along, District 2294. This is the 6th Street and 23rd Avenue East intersection improvements. This project originally was planned, and we created an assessment district for a roundabout. This is the intersection on the southeast corner, just right next to City Hall here, basically on the southwest corner of Costco, where the DMF property, the Dakota Medical Foundation property, is going to be developing. And also, just across the street from City Hall is some vacant land that there is some plans to develop some affordable housing on that as well. So instead of waiting until we have all of that traffic on the road and then shutting down the intersection to be able to build the improvements, we're building it ahead of time in preparation, knowing that these improvements are being done and it's going to be developed very, very quickly. And so, again, originally we had proposed a roundabout. That was going to be district number, I believe, 2280, and that was going to be a $2,050,000 project. We passed a resolution of necessity for that project, and we actually had just barely over 50% of the project area contest the creation of the improvement district. So that project and that improvement district was canceled because it was protested out. Since then, we've done some different assessment analysis, whereas we were going to be assessing 80% of those improvements on a $2,050,000 project. Now, we had a traffic study done that showed a roundabout is better, but a signal would suffice and would work through the traffic projections through 2050, which is the ultimate build-out of the area, is what the traffic engineer figured. And the intersection, based on those traffic projections, did warrant a signal, and their analysis showed that a signal would work. In yellow, you see the location of the improvement district. So it's basically all of the commercial areas north of 26th and extending west along 23rd. And this is basically one of the same, it mirrors the district that was used for the creation of 23rd Avenue at the time, to that point. There has been questions, why isn't the single-family residential district included in this? This is really being created due to the improvement of business in the area and the business that's drawing the people to this and through this intersection. So whereas we were assessing that roundabout at 80%, now we have an intention of reconstructing this, and it would be not assessed at 80%. The intent for this project is we're going to use a third of the cost of the project will be paid for through capital improvement sales tax. A third of the project will be paid for via economic development sales tax, because that is money through our economic development. This is for business, so we're going to be using some of that money that we've collected to promote business to pay down these specials, so that way they're not as expensive. And so only a third of the cost of the project, which is now projected to be $1,467,000 versus the roundabout, which was $2,050,000. So it's a little bit cheaper, and instead of assessing 80%, now we're going to be assessing a third of it. And so that really will bring the assessments down. And then not only that, but when the Dakota Medical Foundation was petitioning for the improvements to develop their land, they were one of the entities that protested out of the roundabout project, and they signed a letter of committal that they are not allowed to protest out of the creation of this project here. So I'm fairly confident that we won't get the protest. It'll be, right now we are in the public timeframe where they can protest the creation of the district, and so far we have only received one protest from one of the businesses. So not that more aren't coming, but only one has done it. And I believe it runs through this week at some point in time. I don't have the exact date for that, but we will have the hearing of protests, not a public hearing, but the hearing of protests, of written protests, at the next commission level meeting. And that will determine whether we're proceeding with the project via assessments, or say we get a whole bunch of them that protest and over 50% of the land area does come back and protest out of it, then we would still likely just move forward with the project one way or another, because it is necessary. We can't have this whole area developed without with just maintaining a two-way stop at the intersection or an unwarranted four-way stop, either way, so.
Will this be assessed on an equivalent unit basis?
This is intended to be assessed on a square footage basis, so it's based off of the square footage is what this one is based off of. And right now, preliminarily speaking, it looks like it's going to be about 11 cents per square foot is what the numbers are looking at right now, but subject to us designing it, bidding it, and coming through.
Okay.
But in the end, it'll be about a third of the cost of the project being assessed to this district.
All right.
Any
other
questions?
All right, moving on to 3006.
All right. Improvement District 3006. This is the Westwood Addition Reconstruct project. This project has actually been bid out. Celine Brothers is the low bidder, and this is roughly an $8 million, it's an $8.35 million project. And this is a project that was initiated by the city. We had a core area study that was done, and this was the #1 rated project in the core area study due to the deterioration of the existing utilities. The sanitary sewer in the neighborhood is clay tile. The water main is asbestos concrete pipe, and they're just well beyond their design life. The entire neighborhood only has 6 inlets to vacate the water, so we're reconstructing it from the bottom up, all new utilities, all new streets, all new sidewalk, street lighting, the whole gamut, and everything will be obviously PVC with the utilities underneath. We were successful in obtaining a grant for the water main on this project of approximately $960,000 that we're using to pay the whole cost of the project down. And also where we used to assess, as of the 2022 CIP, we would normally have assessed this out at 60%. Well, when we ran those numbers, the assessments in the neighborhood were $80,000. And this is a core area project. It's not like... It was just really, really expensive. So basically, the commission gave the directive that we need to pay more and probably do less projects to make these special assessments affordable to people. And so the percent assessed for this project would be 30% assessed against these properties, where after you take the total cost of the project, you pay it down by the grant funds that we received for the water main, and that remainder total cost of the project, the city's going to pick up 70% through the capital improvement sales tax and assess 30% of the project for it. So again, fairly reasonable. Obviously, reasonable is subjective to the payer. You know, some might think it's expensive, but overall, we've had many public meetings for this. We had a neighborhood meeting when this was still in the planning stages. After we opened up bids, we had another neighborhood meeting. Neither one of those meetings were required. We just did it to have better communication with the residents. Overall, everybody understood the need for the project. We did a neighborhood survey online, and we had the results of that saying most of the people came back and said that there is a project that's needed here. So there was definitely a need for the project. We've had a lot of communication with the residents, with the neighborhood meetings. And then, again, we're right now under construction, and I would say the vast majority of the residents in the neighborhood they believe that Celine Brothers are doing a good job out there, and they're happy with the progress of the project. And again, once we do get to the point where we would be assessing these costs next year, this would be proposed to be a 25-year assessment, and there is, I believe in the packet, a list of the estimated assessments for the project. And with that, I would entertain any questions that you might have. I guess what Emily has up on the screen there is the actual assessment district. That note, it does include the North Elmwood Park. The Park District is getting assessed for this project because we are extending some utilities down into that area and doing some paving on that street that accesses their park. So the Park District is well aware of of the assessments that are going to, and I'll say this, also at the neighborhood meetings, when we had the first one in the planning stages, we gave everybody a list that shows, here's what we would estimate your assessments to be. After we opened up bids, we refined that list, and at the second neighborhood meeting, we also provided a list to everybody, here's what we're estimating the assessments to be as well. And then as far as the benefit methodology goes, it's very much what we've done in our residential neighborhoods, where it's a front foot for the streets, it's the area for the stormwater, and it's, a per each for the sanitary, or, I believe it's per each for the sanitary, let me look. I'm sorry, sanitary sewer is, it's a per each, it's an equivalent unit, same thing for the water main. Storm sewer and streets and street lighting is all on a front foot basis. So I misspoke when I said storm sewer was for an area. It is front foot basis. No regional benefits on this. And again, the North Elmwood Park is part of the assessment district.
Can you show the dollar amount for the assessment to the park district?
It should be on the,
Was that footage then?
I'm sorry?
Was that front footage assessment for them, just for that portion
The,
of the street that jets in there?
they'll be assessed for the sanitary and the sanitary sewer and the water main. That'll be one unit because they've got one service there. The streets and the lights are based on the frontage of 9th Avenue and the road that's stubbed into the park. So those are how we calculated the benefits to the park.
Sorry, I can't quite see those numbers. Just curious on the dollar amount.
And I don't know if it's actually called out on this, but there would be one assessment that would stick out above the other ones likely. But I'm not sure exactly what the parcel, it might be, normally they'd put something like that on the top, and in green, does it actually say? Yeah, if you scroll
Yeah, it
into
says
the.
3 sides of the park entrance on the notes, so about 46.
Yeah, so that is what I'm assuming is the park.
Okay,
Right
thank you.
there. Mhm.
All right, any other questions? All right, moving on to 6062.
All right, 6062, this is every 2 years, we fill in the gaps where sidewalks have not been constructed, and so we've identified a number of different random parcels throughout the community where it was either constructed a number of years ago and they haven't filled in sidewalks. It's important for us to fill these gaps in for pedestrians, ADA compliance. If you're in a wheelchair going down the street and all of a sudden you hit a gap where it just turns into grass, obviously a handicapped pedestrian is not able to cross that area. It's not, and they can't just exit off on the nearest driveway into the street and go around because the driveways are not ADA accessible either. They have to actually, if they're going to stay on an ADA route, they would have to actually back all the way back up the block. So if anything, this is mostly to provide for ADA requirements for handicapped citizens using the sidewalks is the main reason for this. It's something that we do every 2 years. The assessments will be based off of what we actually, the cost to construct it in front of their property. We're going to be sending out, if we haven't already, very shortly, we're intending to send out notices to everybody that is included in this district, so that way they can have the opportunity, if they want to hire a local contractor to construct the sidewalk privately, we'll remove it from our project. But at the end of this year, if any sidewalks that have not been constructed will be included in the project. And again, there is different assessment methods for sidewalk projects as there are for other normal city improvements. The Century Code has different rules for sidewalks, so basically the notice that we're going to be providing them is sufficient. And then eventually, when we do get to the certification, it's just, I believe, only needs to go up in front of the commission to certify those assessments and move forward with the certification of those. And just an item of note, on the website, I believe the website said District 6056. This is District 6062. That the one that was shown on the website was a previous sidewalk project number for it. So tonight, we're here to talk about 6062, which would be a sidewalk project that would occur in 2026. And with that, I would entertain any questions from this one.
Just, is it the city's desire to get these projects assessed yet this year? I mean, kind of our timing of when we meet again as a city, or you're not looking to get these in
You
by
won't,
our deadline?
you won't, this assessment commission will not see this project again. Correct me if I'm wrong, Katie, but yeah, today's just informational purposes only, just to let you know that this is a project that we're moving forward with and we're assessing. However, it doesn't have the same rules where we come back and discuss methodologies and get a recommendation to the commission. It basically, we just tally up the costs and we bring that right to the commission and they certify it for us from there. We'll still have some notifications and things like that, but this is the last time this commission will actually see this sidewalk project.
Right. Any other questions? All right, moving on, current assessment districts.
So I'll turn this over to City Engineer Jerry Wallace, and he's going to go through the ones that we are intending to assess this year, and turn it over to you.
Good evening, Commissioners, and again, thank you for making time to be here tonight. It's greatly appreciated. So I'll be reviewing the 4 current districts that we're looking to special assess this year. First one here up is Improvement District 1337. My name's Jerry Wallace. I'm the city engineer. This would be for the Wilds 21st edition, and this is an actionable item. The action requested or recommended would be approve the assessment list, direct publication of the list, and the notice of the hearing of objections. As far as the Wilds 21st, this was a 100% developer petitioned greenfield development, basically on the south side of the city. The project has been, I guess, ongoing for several years now through multiple phases. The scope of the district essentially included installing all the regional infrastructure and local infrastructure, roads, streetlights, sanitary sewer, storm sewer, various incidentals. There were some regional items that were associated with this district as well, mostly associated with the storm sewer system. There was a little bit of diversion levee work that was needed, and then there was some permits through the U.S. Army Corps that were required. In your packet here, I've included district boundary map, the resolution directing the assessments. I'll start walking through this here, but we'll review some plans and construction photos. We'll touch on the benefit methodology, and we'll also have a map basically showing the proposed assessments for the property. And at the very end of the packet is the proposed assessment list with a newly added benefit determination and our, call it West Fargo document that discusses how we determine benefit for the benefiting properties. So again, the staff recommendation for tonight is approving the assessment list, directing the publication of the list and the notice of the hearing of objections. Obviously, with our policy analysis, this was a developer petitioned, largely 100% assessed. As far as the financial summary and the funding aspects of the project, as you can see in the breakdown, there is $11,345,000 that is going to be assessed. No city funds were used for the project, And then as far as other funds, there were water main issues that were installed as part of Casserole Water, actually oversees the water mains and hydrants and water service in this area. So there's a considerable amount of their infrastructure that was installed that the city is to be reimbursed for. The other item in there, with a lot of these that we've bonded for now and we're looking to get paid back on, there's usually a reoffering premium that is associated with the bonding that helps buy down a little bit of the cost. And so that is the summary of those other funds. Bear with me, Emily, I'm trying to figure out where you're at. If you want to maybe scroll back up a little bit. Keep going. Yeah, as you can see now here, the resolution of necessity. Just before this is a summary, pretty lengthy summary of the various commission actions that have taken place over the multiple phases and years that this project has been ongoing. Obviously, you can see the resolution here that the finance team has put together for us. Can you start scrolling down for me, please? And stop me anytime if you have any questions about anything. Getting into some of the plans for the project, like I said, it was multi-phase. This was, call it phase one, where there was several loops of roadway and residential property that essentially we were building, the street network, water, sewer, storm. This area right here really shows the phase two breakdown where we've finished the remaining residential areas. There are a couple of large multifamily lots associated in these areas as well. But yeah, you can see a lot of the infrastructure that was installed with that phase. And in the final phase, there was call it a pocket park that was installed for the area, and basically included some playground equipment and I think some minor storm sewer construction. But got some photos here of the construction. As you can see, we're installing the green pipe, sewer mains, storm sewer, hydrants, water main. And if you want to keep scrolling down, there we had the basic, the finished street systems and multi-use paths, sidewalks, et cetera. And then we have our benefit methodology here. And basically there were mostly local costs associated with the project that were applied to, like I said, mostly the Wilds 21st edition and the associated properties. There were some regional improvements that I highlighted at the beginning of this particular packet that will lead to smaller assessments on the call it the district as a whole. But and like I said, any questions, please feel free to stop me as I go here. I guess if you want to keep scrolling, Emily. And then we had several lots that, some of the call it the city pond lots, for example, were determined to be, not benefiting parcels, for example. So they're, a few of those are determined to be excluded from the assessment process. But here's our benefit methodology map, essentially showing the multiple areas that were involved, the areas that were excluded, the district as a whole. And here's, I guess what we describe as our heat map that essentially shows the assessment breakdown for the various properties in the district. And I can certainly pause here as long as you like, or I can keep going, entirely up to you.
Can you just maybe go through the larger dollar amount items in there?
Sure. Give me 1 second here. As we start up to the north, essentially, the parcel that has the green shade, 40,651, that's a multifamily property. So it is going to be significantly higher than a lot of, the single family, for example. The yellow one, just below that, for approximately 144,000, that is a large undeveloped property currently that the owner has, in the past, I guess, expressed interest in developing that into multifamily as well. They currently, due to market conditions, are holding on that, but that's where that assessment comes in. And then if we head to the east here, the green property for about 52,000 and change there, that's the Park District property. And the remaining two are multifamily properties as well. And then the last one down there, that's a little bit larger, that's for the $49,236, that's another multifamily property.
Thank you.
So this is the last of the wilds?
Correct.
So they're, okay.
This really essentially finishes the build-out down south for the city. There may be potential for items in the future, but, those are a discussion for a different day.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Wallace?
The only other thing I should probably highlight is there's, I guess, recent court decisions, things of that nature, that I believe there was a case in Grand Forks where the North Dakota Supreme Court, and maybe Katie could explain it better, but my understanding is there's been some cases that have been to the North Dakota Supreme Court where the city should be putting effort on essentially describing how benefit is determined for projects that are, going to be assessed for these projects. And it's a pretty lengthy document. I can dive in as deep as you'd like me, but it basically discusses for the 4 projects here that we're looking tonight, how we determine those benefits. I would just, put out there that it's those things can be subjective, and we tried to do our best, but yeah, I can certainly go into that document if you'd like.
But, it's the same methodology we've been using for the last number of years. As far as, square foot, linear foot, equivalent units, how equivalent units are determined, we haven't changed any of those.
So that's correct for the assessments that we're looking at tonight. As far as the benefit determination, it really starts to look at things that are very abstract, like if we install a signal at an intersection, and what is the cost benefit had we not installed a signal, and, God forbid, somebody gets hurt or killed in an accident, what is the, benefit value of preventing those accidents and things like that. Like I said, they get pretty abstract. But like I said, it's a pretty lengthy document. We're, pretty confident that we've, made it all encompassing of what we're looking at here tonight. But like I said, I can dive in as deep as you'd like me to. Okay.
The end result is that the assessment is
that is probably the best point I could make tonight, thank you, Dan, is it's been determined that the benefit far exceeds the project cost. And I guess with that, I'll stand for any other questions, and I would imagine, Katie, do we make does the commission make a, I guess, a
For a motion.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
No other questions? I'll move to approve the assessment. List for-
This is Elliot. I'll second that motion.
All right, do we have a first and a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Those opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to District 1339.
Okay, again, thank you, commissioners, for being here tonight. Next on the agenda here is Improvement District 1339, the Stockyards First Edition. That involved new water supply, sewer, and various incidentals. Again, the action here tonight being requested or recommended is approving the assessment list and directing publication of the list and the notice of the hearing of objections. Again, this project was another developer petitioned project. Essentially, 100% special assessed, to the petitioning properties. The area in particular, I believe many people are familiar with it, the Stockyards area up towards the north side of town. The developer decided to take the initiative to, look at installing what they need to, continue to develop the area based on their market analysis. As we went through the progression of the project, it's probably important to note that due to changing, economic situations and whatnot, the developer revised their initial petition, and we revised our engineer's report to scale down what was initially proposed out here. There were, call it other roadway improvements and a few other things that were initially requested, but we peeled that back, and essentially it just involved, water and sewer connections. Another big thing to highlight is there was a lot of U.S. Army Corps permitting and things of that nature that were needed for this site and this project, as well as state historical preservation items that we're currently close to the finish line on. But yeah, it was the permitting aspects of the project were quite a large effort. Again, I've got a similar breakdown in the packet here. Staff recommendation, again, is to approve the assessment list and direct publication of the list and the notice of the hearing of objections. As far as a project cost, the total project cost came in at the just under 1.3 million. And as you can see under the financial summary there was the reoffering premium through the bonding process that helped buy that down a little bit. Following that, there I have a summary of previous commission actions. Leads us into the resolution that our finance team has prepared for us here, and the city commission has approved. And then we, in our packet here, have just a couple of plan sheets that really kind of show an attempt to highlight the work that took place. Really what it boiled down to was utility connections on the north and south side of a very large undeveloped area. And then as I noted earlier, the associated extensive permitting that was needed to get the site to be developable. A few photos from construction here, just putting in, essentially the water and sewer like I noted. And then we have our benefit methodology map just showing the district. The benefit methodology shown up there. Same as, I believe, what traditionally has always been done. Again, a heat map here of the proposed assessments. And then again, similarly to our previous project, we do have our benefit determination in here that, again, we feel we demonstrated that the determined benefit greatly exceeds the cost of the project. And with that, I will stand for any questions.
That carve out of the already developed land on 12th Avenue North there must already have their water sewer and have no benefit at all?
Correct. We actually approached them, I think, early on in the project and asked if they wanted to have more traditional utility connections and those types of things. And they were pretty adamant that no desire, and they were not included in the district for any of the project work.
So there's a, excuse me, a little assessment for a street. Where's the street?
Essentially up on 12th and then down on 7th. Most of it would probably be associated with 12th when they had to bring the water main from out in the road into the property.
Okay, so when they future development, they'll have to put roads in there then.
Correct.
Okay, so this is just basically water and sewer?
That was the bulk of the civil work.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions?
Okay, well then I'll make a motion to approve Assessment District 1339 as listed.
And I will second that motion.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion carried. Moving on, District 2270.
Yes, thank you, Commissioners. Moving into the next one here, we're getting into Improvement District number 2270. That was a traffic signal at 9th Street and 32nd Avenue West. Again, the action being recommended or requested here tonight is approving the assessment list, directing the publication of the list, and the notice of the hearing of objections. Essentially, what we had here was 9th Street West. Due to the, regular continued development of the area there, a couple of years ago, it ended up meeting warrants to I guess, have a traffic signal installed. Basically, what we found prior to that was at the peak hours, the intersection just functioned very poorly. And I know I live over in that area, and I can honestly say it was a big mess, at the rush hours. I know I was quietly very happy to see that we were proceeding with a signal in that area. Essentially, the scope of the project just included some regional street improvements, modifications of medians, installing, obviously, the traffic signals, pavement markings, various incidentals. And then the policy analysis for this, the total project cost came down to $862,063.45. The city leadership decided to proceed with assessing $670,000 of those monies and using city funds in the amount of $172,000 to try to buy the project down and provide some relief to the residents and businesses in the area. Again, reoffering premium is also noted at the bottom there as other funds. And then following that information, we have the summary of previous city commission actions, our resolution directing the assessments to be levied here. Bear with me a second as I get caught up. Okay, Emily, can you keep, scroll down one more? Okay. Just a cover sheet of the project showing, at the intersection of 32nd Avenue and 9th. And essentially, we just put a traffic signal in each quadrant of, the intersection, had a few various incidentals that were associated with the project. Emily, can you please, thank you. Pavement markings, we also redid the pedestrian ramps in these areas to make them more friendly to folks that may require ADA access. And we didn't have, unfortunately, too many construction photos of this one. There's not usually a whole lot to look at on these types of projects, but we did have some pretty good ones of the finished project up there. The proposed methodology was essentially the EU basis, conforming with the City of West Fargo Special Assessment Policy. Here you can see the district and the various parcels that are, this probably shows it better. This is our heat map again of the assessments that are proposed to be spread. And then our assessment list. The typical family here, I believe, sees about $181.59. To us, policy-wise, it seemed like a very reasonable assessment for such a great improvement to the the traffic infrastructure of the area. And again, our benefit determination demonstrated that, we feel that the benefit far exceeds, what the project actually cost. And with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
So this must be.
Looks like it. Just verifying the area in red is all Rendezvous Park.
I apologize, Commissioner, say that again?
Is the area in red, the 57,000, all Rendezvous Park?
Correct.
If there's no questions, I'd move to approve the District 2270.
I'll second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. And moving on to District 2271.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just bear with me one second here while I get caught up in my packet. Our last district is Improvement District 2271, and that was concrete paving, street lighting, storm sewer, and various incidentals up on, again, in the Stockyards area, 7th Avenue Northwest and 5th Street Court Northwest. Again, thank you for being here tonight, and the action being requested or recommended is approving the assessment list, directing the publication of the list, and the notice of the hearing of objections. So anybody familiar with the area knows that it's been a pretty undeveloped area for quite some time. Back in 2006, petitions were received to install utilities in the area. And I believe there was just a general understanding that, as the area continued to develop, there would be need for, future infrastructure or utility improvements. Obviously, one of the recent triggers here with the stockyards really kind of kickstarted that conversation. And we felt strong enough to, come forward with the project that, it was time for, the urbanization of the area. The scope of the area basically included the street improvements, concrete pavements were installed, street lighting was installed, storm sewer, and then again, the various incidentals. Pretty standard packet here again laid out for you. Again, the policy analysis. Total project cost came in at just under $2.8 million. And the assessments for that were $2,705,000, again with the reoffering premium from the bond, able to buy down a little bit of that cost. Again, a summary of previous commission actions there. Followed by our resolution with our financial breakdown, district here, resolution directing the assessments with the financial breakdown. And then a cover plan sheet here, really showing the footprint of the project. Basically, concrete pavement and lighting extending back along 7th, and then down into 5th Street Court Northwest. If you go to the next page there, Emily, it shows a pretty good breakdown of utilities, storm sewer, you can see in red there, some grading, construction photos. And then our benefit methodology breakdown. District map, trying to elaborate here on, some of the, showing the regional benefit versus, I guess scaled down regional benefit versus local benefit. And then probably one of the more valuable tools in the packet here is the heat map showing what the assessments are proposed for each parcel. The two big red parcels, if anybody was curious, again, a large portion of the stockyards addition up there, and then Wayne Transports on the bottom there.
The assessment in blue for the 22,000, where's the access there?
So I believe that is a parcel that is owned by the adjacent parcel in yellow as well.
Okay.
I believe it looks pretty obvious that they probably have to access it through that parcel.
Okay.
And then, just like with all our other districts, a benefit determination analysis was conducted, and we determined that the benefit from the project, again, outweighed the project costs, and feel that we've demonstrated that. And with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Just a question on the history of those parcels out there. So, I mean, I know when the first businesses came in, they just left it basically dirt road, gravel road. They didn't
Correct.
pave it. And then when the transport company came in, didn't they pave half of that road?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so it was always just left as basically gravel road.
I
This is
think
the first
so.
paving project out there then,
Yes.
okay?
Yeah, it was actually surprising it made it as long as it did.
Can you go back up to one of the first maps? It almost looked like, let's see,
I think there was an agreement in place when they first put the gravel road in, because they overbuilt it.
That works.
Fabric and a foot
That
of
works.
crushed concrete and stuff, so I mean, it wasn't your standard gravel road.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there was some cost savings on the project, because there was portions of that road we didn't have to go into the subbase, we were able to just skim off the top and reuse the subbase for it too, so. There was always an intent upon development that it would get paved,
Mm-hmm.
and the stockyards development, as Jerry said, contributed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that point, Dan.
so there was, I think it was one of the first maps you showed, but this one works just fine. On the Fifth Street Court Northwest, on the back side of those lots, so where that red line is directly to the west, it looked like there was a benefit. Was that the storm sewer that went in? Because that's not a road behind those lots, right? Because it looked like there was an improvement that went down on the back side of those lots.
There was a storm sewer run that went through the rear yards there to
Okay.
try to add additional levels of serviceability to those benefiting properties. No, great question.
All right. Any other questions?
Unless Elliot has something, I'll make a motion to approve the district.
And I'll second the motion.
All right, we have first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you very much. All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. I wonder what time it was in Elliot's world. Yeah, no kidding. Right now, if it's in the